Hey there, I'm Dave at NoRecipeRequired, and tonight I'm going to do one of my favorite risotto recipes for you. This version is a mushroom risotto with morel mushrooms. Morels are a wild mushroom, one of my absolute favorite mushrooms. Not all that easy to find all that much, but when you do, you gotta pick them up. If you can't find them, go ahead and use any other kind of wild mushroom that you can find. It'll still turn out great. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our morel mushroom risotto. Now, morels, which I've got here, are these kind of honeycomb shaped mushrooms. I cut most of them in half. These guys are kind of small. I like kind of bite-sized pieces that are going to blend into the risotto, but they're super expensive. So I cut down on the amount of morels by using some criminis, and I cook them separately. So just dice them up nice and fine, throw them in a pan, kind of medium heat, and saute them down. Leave them alone. Don't go all crazy with them. Just let them brown up, get nice and crispy on the outside. We're going to remove those and we're going to cook our morels separately. Okay, so I've got my crimini mushrooms nicely cooked down. Now, I think it's important to get them pretty well done, because remember, risotto has a fair amount of liquid in it, cream, all that stock, and these are going to rehydrate quite a bit. And so I like to get almost all the moisture kind of pulled out of them over the flame. Once I get them pulled out, we're going to come back and we're going to do a similar saute with our morel mushrooms. So I just pulled out our crimini mushrooms, and notice I've still got some olive oil in the pan. If you've got some extra in there, why waste it? So just keep it in there. To that, I'm going to add some butter. Now you can do all butter if you want, if you don't have much olive oil left in there. Morels and butter, match made in heaven, right? You got to use a little bit. I'm going to add our morels, which, like I said, I just kind of cleaned with a little towel. Made sure I got any obvious dirt and grime off of them. And I'm going to toss it into the pan with a good amount of butter, a little bit of olive oil, some salt, and I'm going to do a similar saute on this. Really drive the moisture out. Let them kind of sit over medium-high heat. And once you get them coated with a little bit of that oil, and let them crisp up. They're going to stay tender on the inside and get kind of a little bit of crisp texture on the out. So after about 10 minutes maybe over medium-high heat, your morels are going to be done. You definitely want, kind of like I said, those nice crispy edges. They're still going to be tender, but they are super flavorful, man. These mushrooms, they pack a wallop. What I'm going to do is reserve maybe a third of them, this many or so, as a bit of a garnish for the top of my mushroom. And these ones are going to go in along with my other mushrooms, so you can just combine them all, that side. And then let's get started on a risotto. So in that same pan, we cooked the morels in. I just removed it. If you need to add a little bit of olive oil, go ahead and do it. I'm going to add a shallot and a chopped up garlic clove, both kind of finely diced. And I don't want to wash the pan because I'm going to take up all that kind of yummy mushroom flavor when we deglaze in a few minutes. Touch of salt in there, touch of pepper. I'm just going to cook these over medium heat. Don't want to burn anything, don't want to brown anything. You're just looking for the shallot and garlic to soften up a little bit. Probably 2-3 minutes. Once your garlic and shallot have softened up a bit, hit it with a little bit of thyme. Fresh if you have it. I happen to only have dried right now. It works. And then your arborio rice. It's important to use the right type of rice for risottos like this. I'm going to turn the heat up, add just a touch more olive oil, and I'm actually going to toast the rice. I find like 2/3 of a cup is generally plenty for 2 people. I'm going to toast that rice for probably 5 minutes. I don't want anything to burn, but as the rice toasts, it's going to become a little translucent. And we're going to come back and deglaze with a little bit of white wine. Okay, so after about 4 or 5 minutes, it's going to be time to start adding liquids. Now, I'm going to start off with a little bit of wine. This is probably a third of a cup, maybe a quarter to a third of a cup. You just want enough to kind of half coat the rice and deglaze the pan. You're going to pull up all those yummy bits of mushroom that have caramelized on the pan. And I'm going to let this just reduce down until the wine is just about gone. Separately, you can check it out. I've got a pot of chicken stock heated up to just a simmer, and as the wine reduces, we're going to start ladling in the stock. Okay, so you can see how much that wine is reduced. It's essentially gone. I'm actually maybe a little over reduced, but certainly isn't going to hurt anything at all. So what I'm going to do, woo, is spill my ladle. Then I'm going to pick it up, come back over, and we're going to just start ladling in stock. Try not to use water. I think one of the key things to a great tasting risotto is using great tasting stock, right? It's obviously a big part of the dish. I'm going to bring it up to where, again, it kind of just covers the rice. Let it come to a simmer. Some is going to evaporate, some is going to get absorbed by the risotto, and the rice is going to start oozing that starch out and create this nice creamy texture that risotto is known for. This process is going to take like 20 minutes. You don't need to like constantly get in there, stir it all around. Just when you add, give it a little stir, make sure nothing's sticking, then come back maybe every 2 minutes or so. Another quick stir, nothing's sticking, keep an eye on it, and when the water or when the stock gets reduced down to about half of this, add in more. So I'm about halfway through cooking the risotto, and I just tasted it. I generally don't season risottos until I'm about halfway through because I never really know how salty the broth is. Doing this lets you at least reduce a good amount of salt, and you get a sense of, is it salty, is it not so salty. Mine needed a little bit more salt, so I added it in. I do it now because it still gives the rice a chance to absorb some of that salt and get the flavor kind of on the inside as opposed to just being a layer on the out. So as we're cooking, after about 15-20 minutes, you start tasting every few minutes, and you're looking for the rice just to get kind of nice and tender. Mine are probably 5 minutes away from being done. There's still a little too much toothiness to it, which is the perfect time to add back our mushrooms. I've got both the Morels and the criminis that we cooked off earlier, and I'm just going to stir those in and kind of let them kind of steep in the risotto for the last 5 minutes of cooking. Give off a bunch of flavor, all as well. We're going to come back at the last minute and add a little bit of cheese, a little butter, to kind of finish this off. Okay, so you continue tasting. My rice is nicely done. So what we're going to do to finish this off, I like to add some mascarpone cheese. We'll go probably 3 or 4 tablespoons. The exact quantities definitely don't matter all that much. I'm going to add Parmesan cheese, maybe same amount, kind of 2-3 tablespoons. Add a couple tablespoons butter. Now, obviously what we just did is added a tremendous amount of kind of fat as well as texture and creaminess to the risotto here. You can get the same effect with kind of cream. I've seen some people do sour cream, things like that, but you just kind of want them to stir in. You can be a little too heavy-handed with it. I like to go, this is actually a little bit lighter than some people have seen it made. You can frankly skip it if you want, but I think it adds a great kind of texture and mouthfeel to everything. Okay, so I just stirred in our mascarpone, our butter, Parmesan cheese. You want to give it a little taste. Make sure it tastes seasoned properly for you. Mine could actually still use a touch of salt and a few grains of black pepper. The Morels that we sauteed off earlier, I just threw back into a quick pan, heated up to come up to temperature for our garnish, and we are ready to go. Let's go ahead and serve this up. Okay, let's go ahead and serve our mushroom risotto, our Morel mushroom risotto. Now this is kind of the way you want the mushroom to sit on the you want the risotto to sit on the plate. It kind of oozes. It's not a big kind of lumpy, clumpy mess. I've got a few chopped scallions, and I've got our Morels, which we just reheated real quickly. Lay them in a nice little pile right on top, and you are good to go. There's our Morel risotto. I will see you next time on No Recipe Required.